Right, coach? You're actually putting time into creating your content. You are sitting down, you're brain dumping your knowledge, your skills, your stories, your experiences, and you're putting that post out there. But it isn't getting the engagement that you thought it would. Or maybe you are getting the engagement, but no one is taking action towards either reaching out to you in the DMs or booking your sales calls. Worse, maybe you are getting people who are reaching out, but they're not the right fit, or there's just something off, right? They don't seem to know exactly what you do, right? They get on the call, they're asking you a million questions. What is it you do again? I'm not really sure. Tell me more about your offer. And it starts to get a little bit overwhelming and frustrating, to be honest, right? Now you are done with that. You're done with being told you're inspirational and motivational. You're done with not getting the right people on sales calls. You're done with putting content out there that isn't giving you the ROI you expected, putting all that time and effort into it. Even though you're incredible at what you do and you do have sales, you do have clients, you want to be able to have a process in place to consistently bring in the right people, the dream clients into your business, and you're using your content as you should as a method to do that. So today I actually want to dive into two biggest copywriting mistakes that I see in a lot of coaches' content that could be blocking you from or keeping you from really being able to connect with your ideal person and get them to really understand what you do and how you do it and how it relates to them, right? So these are content mistakes that I see that hold people back from really being able to attract the right people into their audience. Okay. So if we are meeting for the first time, before I move on, my name is Oninya Nike. I'm a wife, a mom of three. I'm a coach, a business strategist, an international best-selling author, a podcaster, a YouTuber, you name it, I'm doing it. And I help coaches to master their message so that they can attract consistently premium clients into their business. That's the kind of the overarching theme of how I help my clients. And in every single video in these next 30 days, yes, of the snackable mini training, that's what I'm calling them, I'm going to be sharing with you, simple client attraction strategies, tactics, principles that you can use and apply in your business so that you can be able to land more dream clients. So we're tackling everything: messaging, marketing, lead gen, sales, your offer creation, all of it, so that you can take this and actually implement and make these small tweaks if you want to start attracting and signing more premium clients. All right. So, again, today we're talking about the two biggest copywriting mistakes that I see coaches make. And so I'm going to talk about what they are and then the tweaks that you can incorporate into your own, copy, your content, so that you can start to see more traction with your content marketing. Okay. The first mistake is a lot of people's content is very much focused too much on them and not their ideal client. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday. So if you didn't see yesterday's training, go and check that out, where I talked about calling out your person and your hooks. A lot of content I see out there, and that makes sense because we're naturally used to talking about ourselves, right? That's what social media usually is, right? If you have an Instagram, a Facebook, wherever it may be, you're used to talking about you. But when you become a business owner and you're using your social media platforms for your business, you want to switch that thought process to focus on your ideal clients, especially when you're using your content as a lead generation strategy, right? So if you talk predominantly about yourself all the time, right? All your content is about you're actually going to lose people in your audience because the brain is always asking, what is in it for me, right? What's in it for me? And so if you're always talking about, oh, I went on vacation, or I did this, or my business did that, and I did that, and I did that, people are like, that's nice for you. Great. Yeah, rah, ha, ha. But how does that apply to, or how does that help me? That's the thought process, right? It's the reason why you meet someone, let's say at a networking event, and if they start going on and on and on about themselves, you kind of tune out, right? You just start thinking about something else because they're not asking about you. They're not inquiring about what's going on with you. They're not saying anything that's relevant for you. There's not that there's no dialogue or communication happening. It's just all about them, right? Because our brains are always in that, like, how's this going to help me survive or thrive? Those are the two thought processes. So if you're sharing something about you, or maybe a client of yours maybe something they've overcome or a challenge you've helped them with, in an effort for you to be able to create that connection, and make it relevant to your audience, you always want to start out with an outcome that shows them how they will benefit from reading your posts or watching your lives. So if you do want to talk about yourself, or you want to talk about a client success story or whatever it may be, you want to always tie it back to, how can I make this relevant for my ideal client? How can I put them in the driver's seat with this story, even though it's about me? So, for example, let's say I'll use a lot of weight loss, because if you've been following me, I've been on my weight loss journey. So, let's say you have a story about how you lost, let's say, 30 pounds in 3 months, right? That's amazing. And now you want to help other people, right? You're a health coach, let's say. And so it's about you, it's your story. But how do you then make it benefit driven for your ideal client? How do you make someone stop the scroll and actually want to pay attention to the story enough that they're going to hear your message and then hear, let's say, a call to action or maybe your offer for you to help them get the same result, right? So you can start off, let's say, an example I use is, let's say, 5 healthy foods to be aware of on your weight loss journey if you don't want to end up gaining more weight. Okay, that's a hook. That's an interesting hook, because I said it's 5 healthy foods to be aware of on your weight loss journey. So if someone's on their weight loss journey, they're going to be curious. What are these 5 healthy foods that you are talking about that's going to be, that's actually going to make me gain more weight when I'm in the process of trying to lose more weight? Like, what's going on here? So it's curiosity inducing. You're calling out the person who's going to be interested in this because they want to lose weight, but now you're making it about them and not just about you. Even though the story may still be about you and your journey, you're now giving, there's benefit there, there's a lesson there, there's something that they can take away. And maybe it's a mindset shift, a thought process shift, or it's an actionable thing that they can do that you've now helped them to see. So that's why you want to be mindful of, like, however you're putting your content, even if it's about your story, how can you incorporate them? How can you bring your audience on as well and take them for the ride? Okay. So I could say how I lost 30 pounds in 3 months and how you can do it too, using these 3 major food hacks. Again, still your story, but you're incorporating a lesson within it that people can take away, that they can say, okay, there's a benefit here, right? And then you start your story, you talk about all your stuff, right? Right? But now you have their attention and you have their buy in. Now you have a reason why they should care, why they should listen, why they should read your post. So just so you know, if you start all your posts always about you and your story and your life and your thing all the time, people will, of course, we want to cheer you on and whatever it may be, but they're going to glance over it. They're going to get tired of it. And they're just going to keep scrolling, and they're not going to be able to really incorporate, like, how is this beneficial to me? Okay. Yes, they may engage. I see that a lot. People are like, well, people are engaging. They're engaging because we are naturally nosy. Why do you think reality shows are so big? People want to know, right? You're like, well, what's going on with you? We're curious about other people and the way they're living their life and what's happening. But that doesn't automatically translate to you being seen as an authority, as an expert. It just means people are nosy and they're engaging because, again, they want to cheer you on. People always want to, celebrate you, or, you know, um, commiserate with you or sympathize with you, empathize with you in your situation, depending on what you're talking about. But that doesn't necessarily mean or translate to authority and expertise. How you change that and flip that in the minds of your ideal client is by pulling out some type of lesson in that story. So even if you've gone through like a major thing and it's like whatever it may be, I'm always big about, don't tell your whole life story on social media. Be mindful of how you are presenting it. Make sure there's a takeaway there, right? It's a lesson learned. You've overcome something, and here's how your experience, your skills, your knowledge, however that came about, how that can then be applied to your ideal client situation, right? So they can walk away with some type of nugget, lesson, shift, whatever it may be, for themselves, that they can also take and implement in whatever they're trying to solve, right? The problem they're trying to solve and the aspiration they're desiring to get to. Okay. So that's the first thing I see. So if that's something you're doing, take some time, audit your content and see if your content, like if you look at the first like 3 or 4 posts you put out, is it always about you? And if it is about you, is there a way for you to then kind of spin it so that there is a lesson learned, that there's a way that you are putting your ideal clients in the driver's seat so that they are getting something from it and benefiting from it. And they're seeing you as an authority and an expert because you're giving them shifts, you're giving them perspectives that are different and lessons that they can learn and action that they can implement, that showcase that, you're an expert, you're an authority, and that this is an opportunity for you to, show them a lesson in that experience. Okay. That's really, really important. We have to be very mindful of what we're putting out and how we're putting out there, because it will determine how you're perceived. That's the first thing. The second one that I see a lot is and this is in a lot of people's messages overall, and that is too much insider language or jargon or like fluff. Now, this tends to happen a lot, obviously, in the online space, because these words, they sound great. They're very popular in the coaching space. We as coaches, kind of in our own little bubble, we understand what people are saying when we say this, but it's very fluffy and vague terms that don't actually connect. So some of these words could be like when people say achieve your potential, overcome self-sabotage, walk in your power, become empowered, ignite the leader, mindset work. Those, like, when I'm saying them, you're like, oh, those are great words. Yeah, yeah. But they don't really mean anything. Okay. And I know it's sometimes hard when you are in the driver's seat to see outside of it, but this is one of the number one thing that gets a lot of people, coaches, stuck, I see, is utilizing this language without defining exactly what they mean. So why do this kind of terminology really not connect with your ideal clients, or they kind of glaze over it when they read it or see it? It's because, number one, this language isn't tangible. We can't actually picture what you mean. It's not clear what it means to achieve your potential or overcome self-sabotage or ignite the leader in you. Like, what exactly does that mean? That's not something that you can get a clear, defined picture. If I say dog, you know what a dog is. If I say make 10K in 1 month, it's very tangible. You can see that in your brain. If I say get a promotion in the next 90 days, that's pretty clear. A promotion in, your career, you know what a promotion looks like for you, right? Those are very tangible things that people can walk away with, and they have a clear understanding of what that looks like. When you say some of those other language verbiage that I see so much, there's no clear picture. So that's one of the reasons why it's hurting your message, it's hurting your content, it's hurting your ability to actually attract the people that you want. The second reason why is it's not the language that your audience is using, right? No one is up at night saying those things to themselves, right? No one's up at night going, I want to achieve my potential, and I want to ignite the leader in me, and I want to do some mindset work. No one, I promise you, is up at night saying that. That's not what's keeping them up at night. That's not the things that they are, challenged by or fearful of or aspiring to. Really, it's not. They have very defined, specific language and thoughts that's going on in their heads late at night. So let's say a very common one is self-sabotage, right? Yes, that sounds like, oh, it makes sense. We all understand self-sabotage, but they're not really saying, I don't want to self-sabotage in their brains. Instead, they're saying, maybe, why do I always shut my husband out whenever we get close? That's a self-sabotaging behavior, right? Right? Like, I wish I could be more open with him. We're constantly arguing. Ugh, and every time we get close, for some reason, I just can't. That's a self-sabotaging behavior. So that's the thought that may be going in their head. Or maybe someone who is in financial debt or something like that may say, oh, why can't I stop overspending? I know the bills are due, and I get into this every single month, but I can't stop myself from, like, buying that new bag or that new purse, or that new shoe. Those are self-sabotaging behaviors, but they're not saying, I wish I could stop self-sabotaging. No, they're saying specific situations and scenarios are playing out in their brain, certain things that they're doing and actions they're taking. Those are the self-sabotaging things that they're doing. And so you want to be very clear about what that looks like for them. Okay. And of course, the last piece is these terminologies look very different to different people. So let's use the word success. It sounds like a great word, and I see success being thrown all over the place. And I've used it myself too. So I'm going to raise my hand and own that. But you want to be clear about within what context, because everyone defines success very differently. So unless you're clear as to what success looks like for your specific person that you're helping, it actually is super vague and very general, and it's fluff language. Success in their career, let's say you help someone in their career, it can look like a promotion for one person, right? Their definition of success is they're getting a promotion. They're moving up in the ranks in their company, in their business, in their corporation, wherever it may be. For another person, it could be a raise. Maybe they don't really care about like the title of being now, VP, whatever. Maybe they're more like, I just want to make the money, right? I like the money that comes with this title. I like the money that affords me better opportunities and, luxuries for my lifestyle, whatever it may be. Maybe that's success. Success is I've hit a certain financial goal. That's success in their career. While the third person, success could just be enjoyment and fulfillment in the work that they're doing. For them, they're successful when they're just waking up and excited to do the work that they're doing. They don't care about a promotion or a raise. That would be nice, but they're just feeling like, I love what I'm doing. I love the work that I'm doing. It's making an impact. I feel good about it. I'm successful. But do you see how I'm able to define three different pictures, explanations, definitions of success? So when you use success, it's so broad. Everyone is seeing it and defining it very different, right? Let's say success in one's marriage or business or health or mental performance or finances. It's so broad. There's so many ways you can define success, right? The list can go on. So instead of saying these words, and this is a practice, because I have a client and she's an empowerment coach, and this is one of the places she really struggles with, and we're really working to help her. One of the things I have my clients do is I have them like write out the day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute, what is it? Why am I'm having a blank. Day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour, like picture of what everything looks like for her client, right? Around the problem she helps them solve. And she helps them with imposter syndrome in their careers. And so what does that look like? What does her waking moments look like? What does her job in a job look like? Like, what does her day-to-day look like in her job? How is imposter syndrome showing up? What are the actions she's taking? What are the thoughts she's having? What are the feelings she's experiencing throughout? How is that imposter syndrome impacting her work, but also her health? How's it impacting her relationships? And so we dive deep. We give scenarios, painting vivid picture of what that word, that terminology looks like for your ideal client on a day-to-day basis. Because this is then how they can connect to your content. They can connect to exactly what it is that you do and how you help. But if you use words like I help you get empowered to succeed, it doesn't mean anything, and people gloss over it because they can't connect to that. They're not saying that, they're not thinking that, they're not feeling that, they're not aspiring to that. How can we make it more tangible for our ideal clients, especially when you do something that is intangible? So like mindset work is so broad, it doesn't mean anything. No one understands that. Whenever I see that on people's like posts, they're like, oh, I'll help you do like, I help you with your mindset so you can become successful. And it's like, what? What does that mean? Right? So what does mindset work look like? What specific thoughts are they having that's keeping them from whatever the goal they're trying to meet? Is it perfectionism? Is it imposter syndrome? Is it this fear of failure, fear of success? Is it comparison? There's so many elements and layers to it. And no, sometimes it feels constraining having to pick something, but picking something is actually the most freeing thing because it gives you so many ideas, so many ways to talk about it and angles to approach it in a way that really resonates and connects with your audience, because now you're speaking the language that they are speaking. You're creating the thoughts that they are having in their daily life. Okay? Does that make sense? It's so important, and this is such a big barrier and block for so many coaches, and I see it so often in people's messaging and their I help statements. And so we really work, my clients and I, we really work to really dissect this so they can be able to understand it. Okay? Yes? Give me a second, okay, mama? So the last thing I want to give you is like an example. So instead of saying, I see her, become empowered to succeed, one of the things I have my clients is I tell her, tell a story to your audience of, let's say, a high achieving career woman who is always questioning herself, overextending herself, not setting boundaries around her time, feeling crippled by imposter syndrome, and like, the shoe's always going to drop. It's going to be chaos if she makes even one little mistake. And how working with you, and like how being you were able to help her banish that limiting belief of I don't belong here or I'm not good enough, that kept her downplaying her genius. And now she's feeling, more empowered, more confident, right? She's leading team meetings. She's taking on bigger roles on projects, and she's on track towards, more raises and promotions. And she's excited about it. She feels good about it. She doesn't question if she belongs here or not. Do you see how more concrete that is? Then I'm going to help you become an empowered woman, a career woman, or whatever. Painting those pictures, giving those scenarios, those situations becomes much more tangible, something that your ideal clients can take a bite into and feel really like they can see themselves in it and understand that you understand them, right? They feel seen, heard, understood because you're painting a scenario of what's happening for them on a daily basis that they can relate to and connect with. Okay. So my advice to you is if you're using any of this coach jargon or fluff or lingo, um, try to take some look at that and get that cleaned up, because it's going to make a world of a difference in your just content, in your messaging, in the types of people that come to you and how your audience is relating to you. It's going to skyrocket your engagement and your sales, because people are now able to really connect to what it is you do and how it is you help. Okay. All right. So those were the two common mistakes that I see a lot of coaches making in their copywriting. And next tomorrow, we'll talk about a couple more as well. So stay tuned for more snackable trainings. I hope this was beneficial for you. Make sure to take notes, implement, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.